And welcome into another episode of Off Script. And before I get into the video today, if you enjoy the video, if you enjoy the channel, do not forget to subscribe, like the video. It helps me out a lot, and I appreciate you guys. But let's talk a little Oregon ball here. I was watching this game this past weekend just because it was kind of the only great game from this past weekend. And I'm watching, I'm like, oh, USC, like, hey, they're looking pretty good. And then Oregon just took over, man. Have guys out on offensive side, defensive side of the ball. Mainly, my main concern was the offensive side of the ball on the outside, the receiving core. But it didn't matter. It really didn't. The Ducks were rolling, and it continued to roll. And right now, I'm thinking Oregon could be a problem in the playoff right now. That is like, I do not want to go against this Oregon team. I was on J.D. Piquel's show last Friday, and I'm thinking, like, this is a completely different mindset team from where they were last year. Last year, 13-0, Big Ten champion, 1 seed, have the bye, that kind of deal. Not really tested. I mean, they played Ohio State last year, but not really like, crazy tested. Didn't really go through a ton of adversity. This team, on the other hand, lose to Indiana at home. Kind of, in my opinion, I feel like they're doubted right now. Not as much after this huge USC win, but they, close one against Iowa, stuff like that. And people were like, Oregon really had trouble against Iowa? Like, if we're looking at these wins, by the way, the most impressive wins, first off, at Penn State, whiteout, incredible win. And that was still, Drew Aller was there, James Franklin was there. Like, they were still like Penn State then. Then, like I said, at Iowa, rain game. It's kind of like one of those grimy games that Iowa tends to thrive in. They try to stop the run. They rely on defense, and you still walked out of there with a dub, which is huge, huge win. And then this past weekend, USC dominating victory. I think overall this Oregon team is playing their best ball right now, and that's where you want to be right now if you are Oregon, just continuing to only go up. But looking at this Oregon team more in depth, I really didn't see too many flaws with this team. When you watch the film, there aren't too much issues. You're just like, all right, this is like they're pretty sound in all three phases right now. The one thing I will say, this past weekend, the secondary was exposed a little bit, but it didn't really matter because you still had 2 takeaways, 2 turnovers. But I do think this USC passing game overall was relatively successful in this game. I think Mavia threw for 300-plus yards in this game, so not a huge concern, like I said, because of the turnovers you were still able to get. But I'm just saying down the road, that is something to maybe look at when you're playing these high-caliber playoff teams in the future. And then another thing, the health of the star players. You're down 2-3 wideouts. DeCorey Moore, probably one of the best freshman receivers in the country right now. You need your big-time players to play in these big-time games coming up. You want your big-time players to make big-time plays in these big games coming up. So I think just the health, maybe resting these guys a little bit, getting them back to 100%, being able to throw the ball and not just rely on Whittington and Davidson the entire time running the ball. So I think that's a big thing in this game. But still, looking at this Oregon team, statistically, top 5 overall offense right now. So you're killing it on offense, and then top 10 overall defense. So if you're an Oregon fan, if you're an Oregon player, you got a great program right now. You are built for this playoff run, and I'm really excited to see how it pans out. Let's switch gears here. Let's talk about this upcoming weekend, playing at Washington. And I feel like, in my opinion, this is one of those sneaky rivalries that doesn't get talked about enough. I've talked to Oregon fans. I've talked to Washington fans. They hate each other. They really do. And I feel like within the past couple of years, in the 2020s, with Michael Penix, with Bo Nix, those kind of games, every single one of these games is just like pure cinema. Because it's always close. It's almost like that Ohio State-Michigan, it doesn't matter what the spread is, it's going to be kind of close. So I'm really excited for this one. Oregon right now currently a 6.5-point favorite, so right around a touchdown. And as recording, it could change. Maybe a little bit more Washington, maybe a little more Oregon. We'll see what happens. But also projected to be a high-scoring game, so excited for this. A lot of points here, a lot of points. But moving in here, my thoughts on this game for Oregon, the keys to win this game, pretty simple. First off, continue to win the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. Starting off with the offense, right now y'all are averaging 6.1 yards per carry on the ground. That is pretty phenomenal. I got to say, that it really is. And the ability to kind of just keep doing that. If you can just keep running it down there, running it down. Eventually, someone's going to break free and score a touchdown. But if you're going to win time of possession, and it's less risk of turnovers. Dante Moore doesn't have to sit back there in the pocket and maybe make a wrong decision. You can just find a gap and run, and then hey, first down, another first down, and then you're in field goal range and just points. That's what it is. That's probably what it comes down to the end of the day. But looking at the defensive side of the ball too, stopping the run, that's huge in this game. Past 3 games, you've averaged only 71.6 rushing yards. You've let up 71.6 rushing yards. So whatever you're doing, the stunts, the blitzes, just continuously got to keep doing that right now. Just stay persistent with it, and I think you'll be fine in this game. And the second big thing here for this Oregon team, I think the ability to handle the noise is going to be huge in this game. Obviously, they've already played at Penn State, whiteout, played at Iowa, so they're experienced here, but just something about a rivalry game that kind of heightens emotions a little bit. So no false start penalties. Got to limit false start penalties. Probably in practice, they're blasting noise, so they'll be ready for it. But still, in the game, it is a little bit different. And then just saving those timeouts for when you actually need them. You don't want to have to burn a timeout early on in the game and something like that. So just handling the noise, handling the pressure, and be able to compose yourself within this game. And my third and final key for this Oregon team is just mentally preparing for a dogfight. You've been through the ringer with this Penn State and maybe Indiana, Iowa game where it's close and back and forth. So mentally preparing and knowing it's going to go into the third and fourth quarter. This is one of those games that's usually always tight, especially in the past couple years. It has been relatively tight. But I think in this game, just the next play mentality, when you do make a mistake, and I know Dan Lanning is huge on this. He always preaches this in all the videos online and all over YouTube. The next play mentality, not riding the emotional roller coaster like a lot of coaches say. If something good happens, maybe use it, but kind of bring it back down. If something bad happens, don't let it affect your play. But this Oregon team, I think they're just too much of a train right now to stop. I think at the end of the day, Oregon wins 35-21, something like that, around those lines. High-scoring game, like I said, so it should be a really fun game to watch. But Oregon fans, let me know what you guys think. I'm eager to hear what you guys think about this game in general. I'm still relatively new to the rivalry, so leave some comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. But if you enjoyed the video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video. This is Off Script. I'll see you guys later.